Joining me by phone is Republican Congressman Steve Southerland. You represent Florida's 2nd Congressional District that spans Florida Panhandle, including Panama City, Tallahassee, as well as Gadsden, Wakulla, and Taylor counties. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Greg, thank you for having me on today.
Hey, let's get right to it here. We're about 15 hours now into the first government shutdown in about 17 years. Do you see an agreement anywhere in the near future?
Well, we're here working extremely hard. We had our negotiators gather this morning in hopes that they would be joined by Senate negotiators. Unfortunately, the Senate negotiators have not been named and are refusing to come and speak with us. So, I wish I could tell you exactly, how this is going to end up, but in our struggle to make sure that no special treatment is given to members of Congress or anyone that lives here up in D.C., that a health care law or any law that we pass and that the American people have to abide by, we here in D.C. should abide by that. I think that's very fair, and so I don't know where exactly we're going to end up, but I know we're here. We worked through the weekend, and we're working hard for resolution.
Expand on that a little bit for me. It's hard sometimes for constituents out of Washington, D.C. to kind of visualize the work actually going on. Take me behind the scenes. Exactly what is happening? How are these discussions being had?
Well, a lot of small group meetings, and I mean, I've been in many meetings that there were 4 to 6 members, and then there's those some that you might have 12 to 15 members, and then even up to like we had today. We had our conference meeting today that all 235 members of the Republican conference came together as an overall group. But most of your day and into your night, you're finding consensus from all members, and then when we're on the floor voting, there are discussions going on both sides, between both sides of the aisle. So, we have been, the House has been working. We have not left. We worked all through the weekend. Unfortunately, the Senate leader Harry Reid and the Senate they left for the weekend, and so we didn't have any productive talks with them. But here in the House, we have been communicating, and we've passed 3 continuing resolutions to avert a government shutdown, to fund vital services, for our military, our seniors, vulnerable families. And so, look, I wish that we had a partner over in the Senate, but unfortunately, Harry Reid is still refusing at this moment to communicate with us at all.
That's kind of an argument we hear, and kind of on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Members of the House saying it's the Democrats. Democrats are saying it's the Republicans holding the government hostage. This isn't the first time there's been a disagreement between parties about budget and other issues. What's different this time?
Well, I think the thing that's different is our founding fathers were very clear that their intent was that both sides of the Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives, would produce their ideas out of their chambers, and then those ideas would go to a conference, and it is in that conference where negotiation and compromise is found. So last night, our last vote that we took after 1 o'clock in the morning was to move our bill to conference, and of course, as we were debating that and as we were getting ready for the vote, Harry Reid stood on the Senate floor saying, you know what, I really don't care what our founding fathers gave us or the process they gave us to find consensus and negotiation to a middle ground. We are not going to conference. And so it's really a civics lesson on how there are some here that are thumbing their nose at the very, process of our republic. And so, look, and our legislation has been very clear. We have voted to remove the special treatment that members of Congress receive in subsidies for their health insurance, It passed on a bipartisan basis out of the House, and Mr. Reid has just chosen, that will not be heard, and the Senate is not in agreement with us, and he again continues to refuse to appoint negotiators to meet us. So it's really sad that the process by which we are to find consensus is being totally ignored, and I think that's unfair to the American people.
Is this a fight between Democrats and Republicans, or more of the House versus the Senate?
No, I think right now it is clearly between I don't think it's Republicans versus Republicans right now. I think that
because you mentioned on that latest deal, having bipartisan support, having some Democrats on board with the idea of removing some of the special treatment that lawmakers receive.
Yeah, I know. Last night on that particular vote, we had, I think, 9 Democrats that agreed with us that members of Congress did not deserve special treatment. And that's a pretty big look. There's been a lot of votes up here in the last few weeks that have been strictly on party lines. And so to have 9 Democrats join us in saying that we do not deserve any special treatment over the American people, I think that is a moving point, and we just need to get Senator Reid to listen and to admit that no laws we pass, no programs we pass should give members of Congress special treatment at all.
What do you think the give is? I mean, certainly we hear a lot about the Affordable Care Act kind of being the deal breaker here, and that kind of being the main debate issue. Do you see any slack on either side as an insider point of view as far as where either side can give a little bit?
Well, I think the president himself has made a huge admission to the American people when he instituted the 1-year delay for corporations to comply with his health care bill. It is only fair that the rest of the American people should have gotten the same consideration. So I think the president did kind of tip his hat. He made an admission that the bill is not ready for prime time. And I think to say that the American people, individuals in this country, deserve that same consideration as the president is willing to give to corporations. I think that the president, made a statement there. Unfortunately, Mr. Reid in the Senate is not there. So he refuses to appoint negotiators. He still is insistent that members of Congress deserve special treatment, and so I just think that. I think that as pressure builds, and I think as the American people become more resolved, and they see those that are fighting to make sure that we have a level playing field, and that coming to Congress is to serve your constituents, not to separate and be treated any more special than them. And I think the president, made I'm proud of the president by saying that the bill wasn't ready. And so I also this past week, the president, as you know, he delayed the online registration. If you go on to, if you look, they're not ready to roll this out. I think it sounds reasonable for a 1-year delay and repealing special treatment that members of Congress have, and the feedback we're getting into our office confirms that.
Well, right now it seems like both sides are kind of holding firm. What do you see next?
Well, look, I think we're having those meetings, as I alluded to when we first started speaking, and I think that there are communications between the House staff and the Senate staff. They are communicating. They are talking, and I am optimistic that we are going to find resolution. Look, the American people deserve to know that their federal government is going to provide the services that they need and should expect and deserve. And so I think we're going to get there. It's just going to take a willingness to not accept failure. And I think that success is to make sure that no members of Congress receive special treatment that the American people don't receive.
Finally, here's certainly a lot of debate back and forth. What do you say to those federal employees and those who are impacted by the partial closure here, especially here in North Florida? We've got hundreds of kids who can't go to Head Start program, directors of local Head Start programs saying that the federal funding they had anticipated on isn't there. Those who are impacted by this partial closure, what do you say to them?
Well, first of all, I want them to know that we understand the challenges they're facing, and that's why I have agreed, and members of Congress have said, look, we need to withhold our paychecks from the government during a shutdown. That's why I'm a proud co-sponsor of HR 3160 that says, look, you know what, we've got our employees that are on furloughs, and that's why it is imperative that we stay here and work until we find resolution. That's why we did not take the weekend off. Unfortunately, the Senate, they left on Friday and did not come back until Monday. But we stayed here working to make sure that we found resolution. And so my message to them is, my promise is that we are doing everything we can to make sure that the certainty that you deserve. You're in the trenches. You're working hard to make a difference in our local communities. I am proud of what you're doing, and my promise is that we will continue to work hard to get the government open, and to make sure that no one in this country receives any special treatment over and above that which you have for yourselves. So we also voted to make sure that our military, those that are in harm's way, are receiving their paychecks, that there's no disruption. That was passed. That was one bill that was passed by the House, passed by the Senate, signed into law to make sure that the warriors that are standing in the gap for us, that they have the assurance of knowing that they will receive their paychecks. So, so to those federal employees, my message would be: we are not resting. We are working hard to make sure that we get the government open, as opposed to keeping it shut. So it is not the Republicans that wanted this government shut down, and I think we have seen that with a president and a president of the Senate. If you control those two bodies and you want a government shutdown, that there's really nothing that the minority party here can do to prevent that.
Well, Congressman Steve Southerland, as always, I appreciate your time. I know you got a long day ahead of you, so I'll let you get to it. Thank you again, as always.